Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer joins me today to unpack the latest in the mining industry. Welcome, Martin.
Thanks, Ashley.
Can you tell us about Hive Hydrogen's 105 billion rand Phase 1 investment pledge?
Yes, this was the biggest pledge at President Cyril Ramaphosa's conference on investment by a long shot. So we wanted to look into it deeper, so we asked for interviews, only to discover that the 105 billion, which knocked the socks off everybody at the conference, was just the start. They're looking at 4 phases. So if the first phase of 105 billion goes ahead, the other 3 will go ahead. But that's not it, really. They're saying they could multiply this 105 billion project 50 times, and they still wouldn't be coming close to getting to the projected demand of what they're going to produce through green hydrogen. There'll be a derivative called green ammonia, and they want to do this at Kuche, at Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality. And they say they believe they're in pole position there, because the other places where these projects are being looked at are often deep in deserts or in rural areas, whereas this is right at the port, gaining access to the seawater, removing the salt from that, and being able to take that fresh water and put it into Kebeke, which is so short of water, and then use that water as well to produce hydrogen and oxygen, and then combine that with nitrogen to produce the green ammonia. And green ammonia is seen as the way of environmentally protecting the maritime industry. The maritime industry, fuel oil that they use and the diesel that they use, they are being told you've got to decarbonize. And so you can see new ships being built already that will take green ammonia. And so the idea is that, they will produce it at Kuche, and they probably, the ship that comes to transport them will also be wanting some green ammonia. And they've already got the offtake to the Far East. They say these are people that are well versed in here. They can't name them at this stage because of an agreement that they have. But whatever they produce there will just be snapped up by the Far East. So when you've got a project like that, it looks like it's very, very clear that it could go ahead on time. The first sod turning is involving really wind and sun energy, and they're going to need a lot of energy. A lot of that money is going into the renewable energy, about 60% of it, and they are happy that the port is enabled, they say. You don't have to, like they're also in the Magellan Strait where they want to take advantage of the wind there, but they're saying they'd have to rebuild a new port or sections of the new port, whereas it's so enabled in Kuche that they feel they're really in a good position, and they also feel it can have tremendous positive social impact and create a minimum of 20,000 jobs to start, but if they go with all the phases, they calculate 50,000 jobs, and then there are a lot of spin-off jobs, and that's just what the Eastern Cape needs.
Now, Mitochondria has pledged 4.3 billion rand for a hydrogen fuel cell project, which could create 1,500 jobs in the Sebokeng area.
That's right, and this was also at the conference where people were pledging investments, and you had Mitochondria, a very interesting company with a very interesting name, because they want the name to signal what they're all about. That your mitochondria is made up of a lot of cells that produce energy in your body, and they want to do this with the hydrogen and the renewable energy. And they, the first sod turning is imminent now at the Renegade area, where they've declared a special economic zone. And then the next phase is even bigger, where they want to produce fuel cells. So their idea is that they want to introduce a prosumer era. Now that's a crazy word, but it means means you're a producer and a consumer of your own energy. So you're not going to look to Eskom, you're not going to look to the grid. You're going to have your own setup with hydrogen in a fuel cell, giving you electricity. And they feel this is really well placed, not only for South Africa, but Africa. They're looking at the whole of Africa, because you don't always have grids. You beyond the grid, but you can have this very clean electricity And ultimately, they're looking at you having solar power on your roof and putting that solar power through water and creating the hydrogen and then driving this very clean electricity. Quite cleverly done. This again, looking to local manufacture and being quite innovative, but with good partners. Coming in from Austria and the UK. So we'll keep a close watch on that. But it looks like it's imminent. It's about to go ahead there in the first phase and then build the manufacturing plant for fuel cells as they go forward.
Lastly, copper drove up Anglo's first quarter production by 9%.
Yes, so overall production of Anglo went up 9% because of copper production in Peru. This is their new project. And so although, certain other areas like platinum group metals were down on the production side, this carried it through. And it's a good signal because copper at the moment looks like it's being in such short supply. So they're coming in with a new Peruvian mine. They're looking at doing things with Los Bronces in Chile. They've just reached agreement with the government. And also at the other project, or the other big mine they've got interest in Chile. But when you look at Anglo now, you start looking at copper because you think, this could be the biggest part of Anglo. And then you start looking at Anglo's history and you think, well, they're from South Africa. They were so big in Central Africa where they owned copper assets. They are now in partnership with a company that's looking for more copper prospects there. But when you think of what they had there, and they abandoned that, and they went to South America, which are often deep, dark and dangerous, or certainly having to go underground, whereas Central Africa, with Zambia, where they were, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, the copper's rich there, and it's close to the surface. So you wonder whether they haven't missed out big time. And then you look across at South Africa, and you start seeing this copper developing here. We saw the listing of Copper 360, but if you look at Copper 360, it's now very small, but massive ambition based on what they see in that Northern Cape. And when you look at the history there, you go back to 1600s and you find that's when they discovered the copper. After the Khoisan had discovered it before them, and all they're doing is finding more and more and more copper. And, you wonder why Anglo has missed out on this. But I think it's because of the ups and downs of copper. And I think that era is gone, where, you're going to have copper to electrify this world now. So it's a great metal to be in. And you almost look and think, well, isn't it a missed opportunity? Even though it's certainly signaling that copper is going to be quite a thing for Anglo-American.
Thanks for speaking with us, Martin.
Great pleasure, Sashni.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on the local and global mining industries. To subscribe to Creamer Media's Engineering News and Mining Weekly, please email subscriptions at creamermedia.co.za.